That controversial case out west involving the Mojave Desert Cross honoring veterans has been at a standstill since the United States Supreme Court sent it back to a lower California courtroom. But that is about to change.
California's veterans of foreign wars will file a motion today to intervene in order to get the cross restored after it was stolen. And joining us now to explain is Kelly Shackelford, President and CEO of the Liberty Institute, which is representing the VFW in court. Good to see you again, Kelly.
Good to see you, Gretchen.
All right, so bring us up to speed. The Supreme Court said, hey, the cross can stay, then it remanded it back down to a lower court. That is still in motion. But what are you going to do today on behalf of the veterans?
Well, obviously, this is a disgrace, this attack on the memorial, and the veterans hadn't been allowed to be in the case, yet an act of Congress gave them the land and their memorial back to them, and they have a right to speak for themselves.
Right.
And they certainly, the Obama administration and the ACLU certainly don't speak for the veterans, so they want to make sure that their interests are represented. Just like if you guys had some dispute over your property,
Sure,
you would have a right to be in the case and make sure you're speaking for yourself.
Absolutely. So in the meantime, Kelly, we're looking at a picture of the cross on that on the mountain out in California, and that's when the cross actually was there. After the Supreme Court sent it back to a lower court in California, somebody went out there in the middle of the night and took it. Now, one of the things you would like to do while this court case is ongoing is replace it. And you've asked the Department of Justice and the White House for help, and you haven't heard anything back. Why is that?
Well, they've actually refused to put the memorial back up. We've actually now have a letter on behalf of the veterans and any Americans who want to sign on to the president, asking the president to please overrule this. This is ridiculous that we have a veterans memorial, a national memorial, that's sitting in a damaged state, and we're not repairing it. We're not putting it back up. We think that's disgraceful. It's totally unacceptable. And we have a couple of ways. People, if they want to go online, they can go to putthecrossback.com and they can sign on a letter to the president. They can support the veterans in the case. But I just think it's totally unacceptable that the veterans are having to stand alone by this. And the president's willing to speak out on the mosque in New York.
He's the commander-in-chief. You would think he would be on their side.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that something needs to be done about this immediately.
But you
which
think,
is part
Kelly,
of why we're intervening.
You think actually that one of the reasons that you've had radio silence from the feds and from the Obama administration is because they don't want to incite the ACLU potentially?
I think there's no doubt. Their attorneys at the Justice Department think it's kind of a cute legal strategy to not have a memorial in the form of a cross that's sitting there as they go back into court. But, the state the memorial was there when we were at the U.S. Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled in our favor. So the idea of sort of letting it be damaged and destroyed by vandals and not putting it back up, there's no need for that. The Supreme Court was with us, and we need to stand this thing all the way through and get that memorial back up.
By the way, does anyone know what happened to the cross? I remember discussing this story back with you months ago when it happened, that it would have taken a lot of people to bring this thing down. It just wasn't one person.
No, it was probably a number of people. We unfortunately think it's probably been destroyed. The good news is the caretaker of the memorial has created an exact replica. It's ready to go back up. It would take very little time to get it erected back up, but we're just we're being frustrated and not allowed to do so by the Obama administration.
All right, Kelly Shackelford joining us today from Dallas, that is to say, and the Liberty Institute. Thank you very much.